I'm putting you on the spot.
All right.
Give me one player that you think the 49ers should trade this offseason, knowing that they probably won't.
Knowing that they probably won't.
Well, whatever.
Um, well,
Whether or not we expect it to happen, one thing you think they should do. Let's get crazy.
one player they should trade. I mean, it would be easy to say Javon Kinlaw.
Well, I wasn't going to go that direction, but I can see. Obviously.
Because I don't, you got Kalia Davis, you got Givens, I would say though, if I had to go one player that they would trade, it has to be a young player, obviously, that is just not a good fit, or for whatever reason it just hasn't worked out. I'll say Ambry Thomas.
Fair.
Even though they need
Fair.
corners, I could see them moving on from Ambry Thomas. Why? Because what's going on? I mean, what's the deal? Are you hurt? You're not getting better. You seemed like you had momentum. You're kind of a blue chip talent. He's almost 6 feet tall. He's about 190 pounds. He played at Michigan. He was a day 2 pick. There's people around the league that have high grades on him. He's not playing. So that's the guy for me. Ambry Thomas. I could see another team saying, hey, there's some value there. I would say that. The other one I could think of is, in Rand Carthon in Tennessee. I could see Rand Carthon coming to the 49ers and saying, what do you want for Juwan Jennings? Because Juwan Jennings is a guy who would sell tickets in Tennessee. He's that big of a name to the Vol Nation. They loved him there. I mean, it's crazy. And he's going to get paid at some point, and it's probably not going to be in San Francisco because of Ayuk and Debo and the other weapons they have. And they have some young receivers like Tay Martin coming up and Danny Gray and Ray. They've got some guys they could replace him with, and the receivers are loaded receiver draft. So I could see Rand Carthon wanting Juwan.
Those are good names. I was going a different direction. I was thinking more overpaid vet, guy who's good but can't really live up to the contract. And first I'm looking at Debo. But Debo is not expensive yet. His contract gets kind of gaudy in 2024. So we'll talk about him next year. Keep him one more year at least. Trent Williams, very expensive. Best left tackle in the league. He earns his contract. Fred Warner, very expensive. Best middle linebacker in the league. I think he earns his contract. George Kittle, I think he earns it. Eric Armstead, though. Eric Armstead missed half the season when he played. He had what? No sacks in the regular season, one in the playoffs. Very good run defender. Does generate pressures. Gonna be 30. He's gonna be making $23 million this year and $25 million next year, and then he's a free agent. But man, that's a whole lot of money. And I know it's not as simple as you trade him and you free up the cap space. What you could do is, if you trade him now, I think there'd still be like $21 million in dead cap. You could trade him post June 1 for another player. I'm not saying trade him for a draft pick just to free up. You could trade him for a player at another position. You could trade him for a pass rusher. You could trade him for an offensive lineman. You could trade him for a quarterback. I don't know. But of all the people, I feel like he's the most overpaid on the team. And it's no shot at him. It's the contract the Niners structured. But they backloaded it. Remember, they didn't want Buckner because Buckner wanted to get paid up front, I guess. And the Colts front-loaded that deal. Now, Armstead is significantly more expensive than DeForest Buckner. It's unfortunate, but that's what the Niners wanted. They felt they'd be winning Super Bowls over the last couple of years. He's backloaded. It's not palatable to me. $23 million for Eric Armstead. Not to my taste.
I think he's the restructure guy.
Can you do that without extending him, though?
I think they will. He's got ties to the area. They will. I think they will. He's 29. He's probably, if you made me come up with one person, I'd probably name him as far as the leader of the team in the room. I don't know. Maybe if I'm wrong, tell me who you think.
No, you're right. He definitely has that voice. But
I definitely think
he
like
just
the leader
missed
of the
half
team.
a season.
I know, but he also is. This is a guy who does. He's more than just a football player. I think to them, he's a leader in the room. He's the leader in the community, and I think he's from here, so I think he'll want to restructure. So I think he's a restructure candidate, which means extending him. I think they'll bring that number down and restructure him because they love him. And also, I think that really he was let down by the. They went from Buckner to DJ to Kinlaw to they're taking steps back at that spot inside next to him. They need to go find their next Buckner, or they need to go find their next DJ. They defensive tackle and offensive tackle, I think, are the big question marks for the 49ers. And I just feel like when you think they're going to trade their other tackle, that would leave them defensive tackle less, right? Who's their starting? If they, Javon hasn't gotten it done, and they got a problem there. Hassan Ridgeway's a free agent. Everybody else can be kind of moved around in the run game. The only guy that even anchors at all is Eric. I think that would be hugely risky to trade him.
I mean, I thought their defense didn't miss a beat when he was out. They were shutting teams down when Eric Armstead wasn't there. Like,
they were also fresher.
You can find run defenders. He's a great run defender. Great run defender. You can find run defenders. The Niners' run defense didn't fall apart without him. Well, for what he's making, he's got to be playing 16 games a year, or at least 15. And I know he did for like 5 years in a row, to his credit, but he didn't last year. And you got to be a productive pass rusher. I'm sorry. They're paying you to get sacks. You have to. He's had 9.5 sacks since 2019. So that makes me wonder, when the team even want to trade for him.
Sack total. Here's the one thing about the sack total. And I know enough about football to know that a lot of times your sack total is totally predicated on who's in your cast. It's like a class project. It's a group deal. You know what I mean? Why is Hassan Reddick suddenly awesome where he wasn't so incredible with Arizona? It's about those other guys as well. And if you're playing next to a guy who's not getting a whole lot done, it's harder for you to get more stuff done.
But if you're making $24 million a year, the guy next to you probably isn't going to be that great. Sorry.
But I think they need to. They've always thrown a lot of bodies at their D line. They need to go find more dynamic guys and put them with Bosa and Armstead, in my mind. But I would renegotiate him. I would, because I know he would be better if I could put a better cast around him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we were talking earlier, like, do you want to reconsider putting in a lot of money in how invested do you want to be in your defensive line? Well, pass rushers I understand, but those guys can get neutralized. Run defense, you got to beat Patrick Mahomes, dude. Go back and watch that Super Bowl against the Chiefs. Tell me what Eric Armstead did in that game. I'd love to know. I still haven't figured it out.
There's one major problem that we haven't really talked about that the Niners have. The Eagles are absolutely unfucking stoppable in short yardage with their Jalen Hurts.
What is that? Holy shit!
That rugby scrum, and the Niners no longer are stout at the point of attack. No. They kissed off DJ Jones, and they can't stop the inside run. I think the Niners were like 20th in the league on short yardage runs up the middle. So either they're going to have no chance to beat the Eagles ever, or they better go address their defensive line, run stop unit up front. Because, seriously, if the Eagles get to 3rd and 4 or less, you just have no way to stop them. Think about that. Puts an awful lot of pressure.
Also, they go for it on 4th down like every time. So what they do on 3rd and 4 is run it, and then they're in 4th and 1, and it's impossible to stop them. They're a good team, man. It took everything Kansas City had to beat them. And still, if Jalen Hurts had just not fumbled and kicked the ball away, they probably would have won. That's what the razor-thin edge margin of victory was in that game. It was an interesting game. Not a great game because there was no defense.
Grant, could you imagine if there was a team that saw that and decided they were going to get just the biggest, most physical guard and center tandem, and then go no huddle, rugby scrum, 1st down,
I'm telling you,
2nd down, 3rd down.
I'm telling you, that is a weapon.
Down.
That is a weapon, and it's Kelsey. It's not just Jalen Hurts. It's Kelsey. It's Dickerson. It's Sumalo. They have a huge offensive line.
How do you
Jake
stop
Brendel,
that?
I love you, but you want that. You want that. So go get those kind of guys who can move people around. And Kyle, stop being so freaking conservative. Go for it on 4th down. What are you afraid of?
Or how about this? Copy that.
Yes.
I want to see that next year. I want to see the Niners with Chase and
Hell
Poe
yeah.
and Juszczyk in the backfield.
Hell
And
yeah.
if Brock's the
Just
starter and Trey's the
hoisting him
backup,
across. Yeah.
then I want Trey to come running in onto
Yeah,
the field on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, whatever.
Yeah, it's funny.
And you get Trey and you get Poe and Juszczyk to push him, and you go sign a big physical dominant center, and you just uproot people and you just run straight ahead.
I like it. Because again, what the Eagles do is they throw on early downs and they run on 3rd down because they're going for it on 4th down. And on 3rd down, so many defenses are just instinctually grooved into, oh, here comes a pass. Here's my nickel, here's my pass rush. Here's my NASCAR unit. Here's my exotic blitz. Oh, nope, counter.
Well, how
It's
about this?
great.
Anytime you're playing a team that only has 1 2-gapper, like, if you're playing like a team that has Jonathan Hankins, but that's it. And then like when he goes out, they don't have anybody who's that stout.
Run it.
Just go
Run
rugby
it.
scrum on 1st down, 2nd
Yeah, I
down,
like it.
3rd down.
Do it
4th
every
down.
freaking.
Just
do it
no
every
huddle,
time.
And just
That would be so funny.
It'll be the worst thing of all time to watch. They have.
It just might work though.
I mean, it would work. I mean, you're telling me that 4 of those. I mean, I'd love to see, on average, how many yards did the Eagles gain on that rugby scrum play? Yeah. I would say I bet you anything, it's like 2.5 or 3 yards.
I bet you. There's a lot of times that they would get 3. And I think it would be funny if they just came out in the game one time and did it 3 times in a row. Just to be jerks.
Monster guys. Gets some 400-pound center and just.
I'm telling you, those 2 teams in the Super Bowl have centers who are freaking weapons. Game changers at center. Niners got to get on that level, man. I want that.
Go pay
on
Jason
my team.
Kelce.
I mean, the Niners had Richburg, who was good, not great. They had Alex Mack, who was at the end of his career. Come on,
Jeremy
go get a
Newberry,
serious center.
Remember when Newberry played center? They want a center
good.
like that, somebody who's like just a true horse.
Cal's finest, Randy Cross. Hey, when the Niners were winning Super Bowls, they had Randy freaking Cross at center. They were not messing around. Now, I never saw Randy Cross play. This was before my time. But he went to UCLA. Apparently, he was great.
He was good. Very good.
You know what's kind of weird? Universally regarded as the greatest teams of all time, those 80s Niners. How many of their offensive linemen are in the Hall of Fame? How come those guys get no credit for what happened? None of them.
Keith Fawnhorst, Fred Quillen, John Ayers. Yeah, nothing.
It's ridiculous.
Bubba Paris, Steve Wallace, Jesse Sapolu.
Yeah.
Nobody. I would say this.
How could they have won all those Super Bowls with no Hall of Famers in the offensive line?
The Niners voice that could bang the drum for their guys. It's like when Walsh passed, it's like there's nobody else who can stand up to the rest of the league and say, "Hey, what about this guy?" Yeah. So it took Eddie D forever to get in.
Right.
I mean, and then
Roger Craig's never going to get in, which is
Roger
ridiculous.
Craig, Seifert, Sapolu,
Seifert.
Michael Carter was awesome. I mean, there were several dominant players that aren't getting in. Keena.